make sure you're sleeping and recovering well. It's super important. Yeah. And I know that this fourth one is really tricky for people going through hot flashes and just that changes in energy levels throughout the day can really interfere with sleep. Yeah. But there's some quite scary research about how a lack of sleep can hamper your results. Yeah. There was a study done very recently and they showed, this was for people trying to lose weight. Mm-hmm. And they had two groups of people who had the same calorie, they use calories for this because it's easy to measure, same calorie deficit with these two groups. One group slept for 8 to 9 hours a night and the other group was only allowed to sleep for 4 to 5 hours per night. Okay. They found that both groups lost a similar amount of weight. Okay. But when they dug into the data, they found that the group who was well rested lost 80% fat and a little bit of muscle. And the group that was not well rested, the ratio almost switched. Oh, wow. So they lost mostly muscle and only a little bit of fat. Wow. And the only difference between them was the sleep. Wow. So sleep is vital. And I know this is something that's becoming more and more well known at the moment, but I think we underestimate it. Yeah. So making sure your sleep is good is key. And is the quality of sleep, like REM sleep, deep sleep, do we know if that matters? I'm not sure. I've not seen the data on whether that influences it. This is still quite an evolving area from my point of view. Yeah. So I would imagine that you need to be having all three stages at probably decent ratio. Yeah. I think it has to be a healthy sleep. It has to be a healthy sleep. Yeah. Yeah, I would have thought so. And that's where you like alcohol before you sleep, things like that, change the quality of your sleep. Sure. And I will tell you, as somebody who has studied sleep for many years and tried to apply different techniques to myself, I've come to this conclusion that yes, the amount it matters, but then REM and deep also matter. Oh, big time. So I think the research has shown that deep sleep seems to be when the body mostly repairs. That's right. And I know there's crossover between all. Yeah. And REM sleep seems to be best for the brain. I'm not sure if you've come across the same sort of thing. So REM sleep is where your brain actually takes the information from the day, decides what to hold on to and what to let go of. Interesting. So if you're like in a big like work time or you're worried about losing memory as you're aging, like that's where REM is. So it's all about memory and cognition. Whereas deep, I always think, is detoxing because the brain actually shrinks and the cerebral spinal fluid goes up and washes the brain when we're in deep sleep. Yeah. So interesting. So like Alzheimer's, dementia, if you think about if you're missing REM and deep, like you're not integrating the information from the day in a thorough way. So you're not going to hold on to that. Oh, yeah. And then B, you're the amyloid plaquing. You have all those toxins that are creating more of the plaques. Yeah. So that's one of the major contributors to Alzheimer's. Scary, right? Right? I don't know. Yeah. But I also, now that my kids are older, I have decided that I can sleep 8 and 9 hours. And that, like when I'm home, I prioritize that and it feels great. Yeah. So there's so much to say on sleep, but I'd never heard it from a muscle loss standpoint, which was brilliant. Yeah. And the research does show that people sleep less as they get older, but we still need the same amount of sleep. Right. So their habits change and people tend to get off to sleep slightly earlier and wake up much earlier. That tends to be like a shift in circadian rhythm. Right. But the requirements remain the same. So it's actually a myth that when you get older, you need less sleep. Wow. You don't. You need the same. Does the timing, I'm thinking now about circadian rhythm. And when I think of circadian rhythm, I think of hormonal patterns. And one of the things that we know is cortisol comes in about an hour after you wake up. Yeah. And testosterone is highest in the morning, especially for women. Yes. So logic tells me that would be the best time to work out. Do we have any research on that, or any from the women you've worked with? Have you seen if timing matters? This is quite an interesting point because it's something I've manipulated myself. Yeah. And there is some interesting research on it. So the first thing I want to say is your workout still counts whenever you do it. Right, yes. So you're still going to get good results no matter what. And really what we're going off now is how you feel and your strength. So there is a pattern for strength throughout the day. So we are technically weakest first thing in the morning. Oh. Okay. And then, which is weird, isn't it? Because testosterone's high.
Yeah, and cortisol's up.
Yeah, but the theory behind that is that you almost haven't warmed up.
Yeah.
So your muscles, you can't connect to them as well. Have you ever woken up in the morning and tried to squeeze your grip?
Right.
And notice there's almost nothing there.
Yeah.
Like there's no power.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's almost a neural thing more than an actual hormonal thing. Does that make sense? And then slightly earlier in the afternoon, that's when our strength reaches a peak. So typically 2 to 3 p.m. is when we're physically strongest.
Interesting.
So
2 to 3 p.m.
Yeah. So if you're really serious and you're trying to gain strength, like you're competitive,
right,
you might want to do an afternoon workout if it fits your schedule.
Wow.